Breaking news tonight on Connecticut's news station. The remaining officers in the Randy Cox case fired about a year after he was paralyzed in the back of a police van. The new developments ahead.
Also, Connecticut's governor opens an investigation after an auditor says state police falsified thousands of tickets. We're looking into what that audit accuses troopers of doing.
And former Connecticut Governor Lowell Weiker has died. We'll look back on the life and legacy of the political maverick.
Breaking news now on Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
We begin tonight with the two remaining police officers fired after a man was paralyzed in their custody. Good evening, I'm Jen Bernstein.
And I'm Ben Goldman. Thanks for joining us here tonight. New Haven's Police Commission voted tonight to fire Betsy Segui and Oscar Diaz a little more than 1 year after Randy Cox was injured in the back of a police transport van. Fox
61's Gabby Molina joins us live outside of New Haven Police Headquarters to explain tonight's developments. Gabby.
Jen and Ben, both of these officers have been suspended since last year, and New Haven's police chief did call for them to be fired. What happened tonight was the Board of Police Commissioners approved the chief's recommendation. The New Haven Board of Police Commissioners voting to fire Betsy Segui and Oscar Diaz from the police department.
We have gone through a very, very long process to get to this point where the last two officers were fired. It's a big deal. It's an important deal.
Both officers are facing charges for their alleged role in the incident involving Randy Cox. Just over a year ago, the 36-year-old New Haven man was paralyzed from the chest down while in the back of a police van.
When he went into the van, and after that ride, he could not walk.
Police say Diaz was behind the wheel and slammed on the brakes to avoid another car. Cox, who was handcuffed in the van with no seatbelt, was sent headfirst into the back of the van when it happened. Police say Segui was the supervisor on scene at the detention center. Both Segui and Diaz are charged with reckless endangerment and negligent cruelty to persons for the incident.
The behavior of these officers are not indicative of what the New Haven Police Department is about, and the treatment of Mr. Cox was appalling.
Two other officers, Jocelyn Lavandier and Luis Rivera, were fired earlier this month. The fifth officer, Ronald Presley, retired, meaning all of the officers involved are officially no longer with the department. Officials say they hope this will allow for healing in the community.
We want to make sure that we don't forget what happens, that we understand the consequences when officers make the wrong decisions.
Earlier this month, the city of New Haven agreed to a $45 million settlement in the lawsuit filed by the Cox family. Live in New Haven, Gabby Molina, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Gabby, thank you very much. Well, the calm after the storms tonight, a lot quieter after this afternoon's moody weather.
Yeah, and some beautiful skies tonight. Meteorologist Ryan Breton joining us here in the Weather Watch Center. Hi, Ryan.
Hey, Ben and Jen. These were just pretty normal summertime thunderstorms. No severe weather, which was good, but there was quite a bit of lightning. Quite a shot from Chris Graham in Portland, and another view of the shelf cloud on the leading edge of these storms earlier on. A lot of the activity has now fizzled. We just have a few scattered showers. It's mainly dry in the central part of the state. There are a couple of downpours that are coming into Fairfield County, especially right around Danbury and the Newtown area, moving that way in the next 10 or 15 minutes, and a couple of lingering showers headed out of eastern Connecticut into Rhode Island. It's still humid now, but overnight tonight the dew points will drop, which means the humidity will be less and it will feel a little bit more comfortable by tomorrow morning. And look at this, we actually have a pretty good day ahead tomorrow with a mix of hazy sunshine and clouds, a very small chance for a shower with temperatures getting into the 80s. The one thing about tomorrow, there's a lot of smoke off to our west, and some of that wildfire smoke may begin filtering into our skies. We'll talk more about that and the weekend forecast too coming up. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Ryan. Well, we are following developing news tonight. We have learned a Connecticut lawmaker was attacked in downtown Hartford today. Connecticut's chapter of the Council on American Islamic Relations, known as CARE-CT, says State Representative Mariam Khan of Hartford and Windsor was attacked by a man. It happened during Eid al-Adha prayers at the XL Center today. The group claims the man said something vulgar before grabbing her, hitting her, and throwing her to the ground. They're calling for police to investigate a possible bias motive. Hartford police confirmed to Fox 61 that a public official was assaulted today. Officers say 30-year-old Andre Desmond was arrested. He's facing 4 charges, including a third-degree assault. We did put a call into Representative Khan's office. They confirmed that she was involved, but declined to comment further this evening.
We're also following a developing story out of New Haven tonight, where officials are reporting the suspicious death of a baby on Farron Avenue. They say a 10-month-old was not breathing just after noon today. It's still unclear where the baby was found, who made the call to police, or the baby's cause of death. We'll bring you updates as soon as we learn more information. Also new at 10 tonight, Connecticut's governor launching an investigation after an audit found it was highly likely that state police troopers falsified more than 25,000 traffic tickets over the last decade.
That audit also accuses hundreds of troopers of over and under reporting traffic tickets to hide possible racial profiling. Fox 61's Jake Garcia looking into that audit. He joins us in studio tonight. So what else does that report say, Jake?
There's a lot of inside this 79-page report, Ben and Jen, and today that report was released earlier today, and the auditors say tens of thousands of tickets were likely falsified by state police since 2014. The report even suggesting possible violations of state anti-racial profiling laws. A new 79-page audit conducted by researchers at UConn state it's highly likely that more than 25,000 tickets were falsified. Researchers also found an additional 35,000 tickets had significant inaccuracies and likely to be false. Researchers compared CSP data with data from the state judicial system and the state's racial profiling system to note discrepancies. Auditors say skewed data makes it appear troopers ticketed more white drivers than other ethnicities. State law requires police to report data to the state to prevent racial profiling. Out of the total number of tickets audited, more than 16,000 were unreported to the state's racial profiling database, which auditors say could have violated the law. Connecticut State Police responding to the findings, saying in a statement, quote, "The number of discrepancies decreased significantly over time. However, even one discrepancy is too many. The state police are deeply committed to ensuring the integrity of Connecticut's racial profiling data and to maintaining public confidence in the essential public safety services our troopers provide each day." Governor Ned Lamont says he has referred the matter to the chief state's attorney for investigation.
Don't jump to conclusions. Let's see whether some of this was inadvertent. I am told that there's a small group that are much more likely to have tickets that were not properly registered. So maybe that's a group we ought to focus on.
The audit began after 4 state troopers in eastern Connecticut were discovered creating hundreds of fake tickets to boost productivity numbers back in 2018. The newest audit suggests further investigation into possible intentions or systems that could result in the issue. Governor Lamont says they will look into all possibilities in the investigation phase.
The integrity of our police is paramount. We got to make sure people have confidence there. So we'll get to the bottom of it.
Now, state police say an internal investigation will be conducted to determine if tickets were intentionally falsified or if it's a technical or training issue. We have a link to the full audit on our website, fox61.com. In studio, Jake Garcia, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Thank you, Jake. New at 10 tonight, a Wolcott man accused of a horrific case of domestic violence last month was back in Connecticut tonight. Wolcott police say 49-year-old Temer Leary was extradited from Albany, New York, where he was arrested on several charges last month. An arrest warrant claims that Leary choked his wife and held a gun to her head, screaming that he would kill her if she didn't pay him money she owed him. Leary's facing several charges, including third-degree assault and risk of injury to a child. He's being held on $5 million bond and is scheduled to be arraigned tomorrow.
Well, tonight, Connecticut is mourning the death of former Governor Lowell Weiker. His family says he died at 92 years old after battling a short illness. Weiker marched to the beat of his own drum and did not subscribe to strictly following party politics.
They are telling me 7 and 8 to 1, Representative Smoko. I don't want it.
You're never going to arrive at that point where we're going to get a majority of people out there. It just isn't the way it's going to work. This is that tough time for all of us that are leaders.
Lowell Weiker was a political maverick carving his way through Connecticut politics. After serving as Greenwich's first selectman in the early 1960s, he was elected to the Connecticut General Assembly before being elected to Congress. A split among Democrats in 1970 led to Weiker, a Republican, being elected to the U.S. Senate. He was the last surviving member of the Senate Watergate hearings investigating the actions of Richard Nixon. Weiker briefly ran for president in 1980. Later on, he pointed with pride to the fact that he had never been invited to the Reagan White House, despite their shared party affiliation. He fought against apartheid in South Africa and was on the front lines of increasing funding for AIDS treatments. He also championed the rights of the disabled. Weiker lost a contentious race against Joe Lieberman in 1988, where he was portrayed as a bear sleeping in a cave. 2 years later, after quitting the Republican Party, Weiker ran for governor as an independent. He ran in a three-way race with Republican John Rowland and Democrat Bruce Morrison. He won 40% of the vote, drawing from traditional Democratic strongholds and constituencies. Heavily criticized for bringing the income tax to the state, he said it was necessary to bring financial stability. He signed legislation extending civil rights protections to gay men and lesbians. After leaving office in 1994, he made occasional headlines, floating the idea of running for his old Senate seat in 2006 and supporting Barack Obama in 2008 and 2012. Weiker will be remembered for blazing his own path and seeking to protect the disenfranchised.
Well, the last time we here at Fox 61 interviewed Lowell Weiker was during Governor Lamont's first inauguration in office. That was January of 2019. He came out to watch Governor Lamont get sworn into office at the State Armory. So many tributes pouring in today, including from Governor Lamont.
A major political force here in Connecticut and across the country. You can find much more about the life of former Governor Weiker on fox61.com. You can read about his rise through politics, his early support in the fight against AIDS, and his accomplishment after his time as governor.